Welcome to Listen Generously, Sounds of Caring, brought to you by Philips Clinical Professional Services as a collaboration of possibilities. I'm Sonia Rhodes, founder and CEO of the Experience Lab. We're a laboratory dedicated to transforming the healthcare experience for team members, providers, patients, and their loved ones. And I'm delighted to be your host and guide for this virtual salon as we intentionally tune into the voices of healthcare workers at the forefront of the COVID-19 pandemic. Inspired by a 16th century Italian concept where intellectuals and artists would gather together to increase their collective knowledge through connection and conversation, our salon today is designed to intentionally shift our perspective, provide a new lens for leading through this time of great change. It's an opportunity to connect, to listen, and to grow together. Throughout our virtual salon, we'll be using the chat feature here on Zoom. So if you do want to share any thoughts or engage via chat, be sure that you're using the option chat with everyone. Well, we have a very special salon experience for you today, and I hope you're ready to tap into your senses as we invite you all to listen generously. Journalist Krista Tippett says that generous listening is powered by curiosity. It's a virtue we can invite and nurture in ourselves to render it instinctive. Generous listening involves a kind of vulnerability, a willingness to be surprised by what we hear, to let go of our assumptions and take in ambiguity. In listening generously, the listener wants to understand the humanity behind the words of the other and patiently summons one's own best self and one's own best words and questions. While we had initially prepared this salon specific to the COVID-19 pandemic, the idea of choosing to listen generously with curiosity and the aim of understanding another's humanity seems to be the salve we need right now more than ever to truly heal. So I invite each one of us to take today as our own personal practice for bringing our presence, our curiosity, and our generosity to our listening. I am truly pleased and honored to introduce you to a pioneer, a provocateur, a partner, and an ally in transforming the healthcare experience, Yoko Sen. Yoko is a sound alchemist, and I have to say, I think that's one of the best job descriptions I've ever heard in my life, title. And she is passionately pursuing a more healing soundscape for our healthcare industry. In the midst of this pandemic, she's been generously and deeply listening to the sounds of caring, and today we'll share her latest work of art. Please join me in welcoming Yoko Sen. Welcome, Yoko.
Thank you, Sonia. I just have to share that the first time I met Sonia and her team at the Experience Lab was 2016, I think, at the Guggenheim Museum in New York. And you gathered 250 hospital CEOs as the audience and curated artists and thinkers as presenters to spark cultural change in healthcare experience. It was really mind-blowing. And since then, it's been really wonderful to collaborate with your team on our mutual mission to help humanize healthcare experience. And I'm really grateful today that our worlds are colliding with our friends at Philips, and we get to spend some time together. I know we have friends calling in from all over the world. If you like to type on the comment section, I know some of you are from Germany, some of you are from West Coast. I know we have some friends from everywhere today. So we are in this time to learn and grow together. And it is a time to listen. And for many of us, it's the time to learn to listen. When I first got into this field of sound design in healthcare, I thought I would be just fixing sounds. Yet, as we realize that hospital noise is not just a technology problem, but it's rather about cultural change, then much of our work has evolved to be about listening and helping us to listen, especially during the most vulnerable times of our lives. And I believe the act of listening makes us more human. So today I am here to share Sounds of Caring. It is a piece of music that features the voices of 21 healthcare workers sharing their experience during the pandemic. A little bit about me. I am an ambient electronic musician. And 6-7 years ago, I got sick and I had to spend lots of time in hospitals as a patient. And I was terrified by the hospital noise. You know, some people say hearing is the last sense to go when we die. And I used to wonder, what's the last sound I get to hear at the end of my life? Is it all the beeps? My recovery was rather lucky and unexpected. So since then, I've been using this bonus chapter of my life to lead an initiative to transform the sound environment in hospitals, collaborating with healthcare institutions and medical device companies, working with engineers and designers to explore how sound impacts our experience and to make all the beeps more human-centered. It is through this line of work that I met my friend, Tammy Beaulieu, who is a nurse who works at Philips developing clinical services. You know, when you meet someone who you just click immediately, and it was sort of a Tammy and I, she's just so passionate and authentic. And I think, you know, her experience as a nurse, she just has this such caring, empathetic heart. I think she's really one of the most caring people I know. As the pandemic started, Tammy and I started to talk, you know, what can we do? Can we do something? And Tammy remembered this Last Sound project I did in which I collected the voices of people talking about last sound they like to hear. Tammy gave me one of the voices. And she had this idea of maybe collecting the voices of healthcare workers, sharing how they feel right now. And that's how this project started, really organically. They are sharing really simple answer to simple question, how are you feeling right now? And this process of this project changed my life. I would like to thank the healthcare workers who shared their voices and gave us permission to be a part of this piece. I'd like to thank Tammy, our friends at Philips, Sonia and her team, my husband Avery, and our team at Sense Sound. I'm so grateful that you are with us to experience this together. So let's listen.
When this is all over, everyone deserves a great vacation. Okay, I think we're recording. How I'm feeling. I am feeling
a combination of things. First and foremost, probably helpless.
I'm nervous about what is to come, what I might witness and how that might change me.
What we're gonna see, the decisions that we have to make.
Anxious and worried, yet at times, I guess, hopeful.
I am feeling anxious, yet hopeful. This strange dichotomy has become my new normal. I have seen devastating loss, as well as incredible healing.
Especially, now that we all watch movies about superheroes, like, heroes aren't really people. but we're meeting it as people who are fallible and imperfect and tired and cranky and
Terrified.
Frustrated.
Tired.
And overwhelmed.
As I'm getting ready for work, I'm scared.
It's terrifying.
Scared, I'm anxious, but I'm also thankful and I'm very hopeful.
I have been a respiratory therapist for 9 years, primarily working in adult critical care.
I've been an ER nurse for 19 years.
I have been a NICU nurse for 19 years.
I've been a nurse for 20 years.
I've been a nurse for over 30 years.
I'm a doctor.
I work in the post-acute care world.
I'm a registered nurse.
We are healers.
As a healthcare provider, this is something we've always trained for. You don't expect it to ever become a reality. The biggest source of fear is the unknown.
I think it's the unknown.
The TV, the media, the fear.
I am scared of what's to come.
Do I have enough to give?
We are asked to fight with little to no protection. And then when we offer to bring our own, it's not allowed.
It's like walking on eggshells the whole time, wondering, am I wearing enough to protect myself? Am I going to be able to take care of this patient?
As a single mom, no, make that a solo mom with no one else to raise my kids. I worry every day I step into the hospital to work.
Can I safely go home to my family and not worry about harming them?
What if something happens? Who will take care of my kids?
We signed up to do this, but we signed up to do it safely.
Like I mentioned, medicine makes me be the best version of myself I can be, but it's hard to keep that up. And it's have this ideal that you want to live up to because everyone's telling you to and cheering you to, but you just kind of, at a certain point, you just can't.
But at the end of the day, you leave work and there's notes all over the chalk sidewalk. People are so thankful that you're there to help them. So I feel joy, pride in the choice that I made to be a healthcare provider.
Really, all I want to do is be there for my team and do what I can do and to help them and to protect them and to be there for each other.
Because this is what I signed up for, to care for others.
Just watching people come together has been a really true blessing for me.
Seeing the support and the positive vibes to those in healthcare and others considered essential workers, it really, really brings us up.
By those who I fight alongside every day, by those stepping up to help in any way they can. It's truly an amazing gift to be part of any of it.
Thankful that I'm able to do what I've loved to do for the last 30 years, and thankful that I get to take care of people and still get to be their advocate and speak for them when they don't have a voice.
Despite this fear and anxiety, I will continue to fight, and I will do whatever is needed of me every day.
Because you have saved lives throughout your whole career. And what you do matters.
At the end of the day, I'm a nurse, and all I want to do is take care of someone.
And people just need to take care of themselves. And I hope that they take a moment to do that every single day.
Giving and receiving random acts of kindness, enjoying uplifting music, experiencing joy through art, staying in the present, cuddling with my babies and husband, maintaining connections through technology, exercising, meditating, cleaning and organizing, taking time in the sun for lots of vitamin D, and most importantly, laughing and smiling.
And there's so many people that are behind us.
I'm going to choose hope and faith. I'm praying for us all, every minute of every day.
I feel grateful that I chose a career that I'm able to help so many people.
One of my favorite quotes is, "You can't always choose the music that life plays for us, but you can choose how you dance to it."
So I'm thankful and grateful, afraid, petrified, angry, but at the end of the day, I'm also very humbled.
Brava. That's all I can say right now because I'm a little misty. Brava. From the moment we first met, Yoko, you've surprised and astounded and moved me personally to think bigger, to listen more deeply, and to be more for our world. And now together, Tammy and Yoko, you've provided us this spectacular gift. And it truly is, for me, I think, a gift that you're giving us all to help us listen and hear and better feel what our healthcare heroes are feeling. I think about this work of art. I think about, for those of us that have spent our whole careers in some fashion of healthcare, some part of this extraordinary industry, this work of art is what everyone needs to hear. And I'm sure you're like me, so many people are asking me all the time, what's really happening? What's really happening in healthcare? And we have that direct line every day to hospitals and healthcare systems. And you now have given the world a direct line to hospitals and healthcare systems and these amazing members. And I think when I watch this, what strikes me is that there's just this honesty, this bravery, this wholehearted vulnerability, and more than anything, an authenticity that I don't think it's just me, sort of straight from their heart right to ours. So I'm hoping, and I'm sure our participants today are also eager to know just a little bit more about the genesis of this, how the two of you were able to bring this into light. So I have just a couple questions. Okay, if we ask a couple questions?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. If folks have comments or questions, please share them in the chat. We'll get to as many as we can, and what we aren't able to get to, Tammy and Yoko have promised that they'll be able to email some response to those as well. I think let's start at the beginning. Tell us just a little bit more about how this piece came to be and your process for creating it.
Yes, thank you, Sonia. This was really a collaborative process with Tammy, and this is actually the first time that, I've been sharing this piece with different communities, but this is the first time I could actually invite Tammy to have a conversation together. And I think, Tammy, really your experience as a nurse and your empathy, I think it really drove this project and our ongoing dialogue. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, thanks, Yoko. That every time I listen to it, it brings back so many flood of emotions. But I think when the pandemic started, I think everyone, even sharing with us today, felt they had this need or want to help someone somehow. And as a nurse, I think it's part of our DNA, right? To mobilize, jump in, do something, help someone, fix it. And, that's what we do. And you know, I bounced ideas off with the professional services team, but then I had to pause and I thought to myself, as a nurse, what would I need? You know, what would make me feel better? And I think for me, it was someone to listen, a place that I could just openly talk about my feelings and just unload. And so I reached out to Yoko, and knowing of her passion and being part of the Last Sound, I wanted to bounce some of these thoughts and ideas off of her. And really, it was decided we needed to highlight or amplify the voices of the men and women on the front lines.
Yeah, yeah. And as Sonia also mentioned, you know, people really comment on the rawness, the authenticity of their voices in the piece. And I think it really has a lot to do with how you, Tammy, you reached out to those healthcare workers by email, because we couldn't really physically go there to interview. So we actually emailed them and, you know, wrote a message. Can you share with us about the process?
Yeah, I mean, really we had to keep it light. But I think my motto at the time was keep it simple, keep it real, right? I wanted them to give themselves permission to feel real, to have a safe place that they can just talk about how they're feeling and really just focus on themselves, just even for 2 minutes. You know, we're always thinking about the patient. Sometimes we have to just pause and give ourselves some attention as well.
Right. And we were both really touched by like how many of those healthcare workers were thankful. Like they're like, thank you for asking me this question about how I'm feeling right now, which was really touching. And then, you know, once we received those recordings, it was an emotional, intense process to go through those recordings one by one, especially for you.
Yeah, I think it was really hard to hear the struggle and the pain in their voices. It triggered my own emotions being at the bedside. As you can see, it was an emotional process, but I think, you know, it was important because some of the recordings lasted over a minute, 2 minutes long. And so it was important to maintain that integrity of their own story. And so, you know, with Yoko and the magic that she did with collectively placing and artistically placing the voices, it told that collective story, right? In my mind, the integrity of the story was maintained, and you know, you breathed oxygen into that entire story, really amplifying their voices.
It was really, you know, our ongoing dialogues throughout the process. We almost talked every day about this, and I think it was really a collaborative process.
I think you both really speak to that power of connection and collaboration, how each one of us has something to bring to a project like this, and then how you've really amplified so many different kinds of voices. In fact, somebody just mentioned in the chat, you know, that this just better helps us understand what our friends and family who are caregivers or essential healthcare workers or essential any worker. There are so many people that you can start to think about all those voices, that this helps us more deeply listen to and understand. Yoko, you know, this is no surprise for me. I'm like, okay, now what, right? So I'm very eager, as you both have put so much love into this body of work. What are your hopes or dreams or intentions? You know, what do you hope that this piece might spark or accomplish?
I think first and foremost, we really wanted to help hold a space for their voices as humans, really. Right, Tammy?
Yeah, I agree. Giving them that platform to be able to talk, the importance of talking about how we feel, for people to just listen. You know, sometimes that's all we need. We don't need necessarily someone to answer. We need someone to listen. So important.
Right. I remember getting a message from a healthcare worker whose voice is not in this piece. And she said, I feel like they are talking about what I'm going through. So even if I'm not speaking in this piece, I feel like I'm being heard. And I think we are hopefully accomplishing this intention. I also remember, Tammy, you had this beautiful way of describing, it's like a live journal or a time capsule or like a memorial of this time, because, you know, you also talk about, you know, in the height of crisis, our adrenalines are high, but, you know, you can tell us more about that. Yeah.
I think many of us today know that feeling when you're in the moment, right? Your focus is the patient. Your focus is just taking care of what needs to be done, and you don't stop to really think about, you know, how you're feeling. It's when the quiet comes and we start reflecting on the day, or you start reflecting on, you know, last week or a month, and that's when your thoughts, I think, can take over and you start to remember. And it's hard, but I think that what I think we wanted really was a place for them to remember, but then also hear how far they've come and where they're at today. And I think that was so important.
Right, right. And sometimes, you know, accessing the memory of that time can be triggering or challenging. So I think one of the things I made sure as an artist is to use that type of sound, music, and image that provide a sense of safety to the viewer, so that, you know, you can feel anchored to this place of safety, but access that time, the emotion together as a community. And I think also, you know, our intention was for non-healthcare worker audience to really help cultivate their empathy, like giving them a glimpse of what the healthcare workers are going through.
Yeah, I think giving them a glimpse in the day of the life of, right? You know, you talk about cultivating empathy, and I think that's one thing that this does. And I'm glad someone brought that up, because that was one of our goals, right? Is to let the message of empathy, I think, blossom, grow, and spread. And I think that this is definitely starting to do that.
Yeah, I think so. One of the feedbacks that I remember when I shared the piece with UC Berkeley's community, somebody said, I used to wonder, how are those healthcare workers, like, how do they manage to go to a hospital? Like, aren't they scared? And then, you know, she watched the piece, she listened to the voices, and she said, oh, wow, they are scared and they go anyway. And I think that, you know, that was a simple sort of a phrase that she said that really, really struck me. And I think that the piece is helping. So the piece is on YouTube if you want to watch it again or share it with anybody. It's a, you know, labor of love. It's a gift to the world. So anybody can watch it for free. soundsofcaring.com, I think. Then you can just watch the video. Right now I'm making the second version, this time with healthcare workers in New York. And as you can imagine, it's a very intense process to edit the piece right now. And for the third version, we are now collecting the voices for the global version. So healthcare workers from Japan, where I'm from, or Brazil, or India, you know, different parts of the world, because, you know, this is one of the few challenges that we globally we are going through together. So can we sort of start this mini movement of empathy globally? So I think that's what's next. And now we heard their voices together. You might be wondering, as a, you know, audience, maybe you like to say something to those healthcare workers. Maybe you like to, you know, say thank you, or say some, you know, words of encouragement or support. Well, Sonia and Jeremy and her team have made this incredible project, Health Hero Hotline. So there's a phone number you can call to leave a message of support and gratitude to healthcare workers. Sonia, would you like to share your project with us?
I love how the universe conspires for Yoko and Tammy were on their project to listen to the voices of caregivers. Our team was working with hospital care leaders saying, how can we help? And what they were looking for was continuous encouragement for their team. How can they keep them inspired and mobilized and motivated to come back every day? And so Jeremy from our team created the Health Hero Hotline, a 800 number where people all over the world can dial in and leave a simple voice message for healthcare workers and essential folks during the pandemic, and we didn't really know what would happen. What's been absolutely extraordinary is that people have called in from all over the world to share their love and encouragement and words of wisdom and music and poetry and everything else that has shown up here. But I think what we love more is that we've found that in healthcare organizations, caregivers are using this as the playlist on the way to work, what they listen to on the way home. They're playing in break rooms. There are listening spaces in their healthcare organizations where they can take a break and just take in this love and enthusiasm. So we always need more of that love. So please feel free to call 772-260 to share your own message of love that, for our healthcare heroes and everybody doing this work. Well, I'm sure if you're like me, as we take in the beauty, the depth, and the feeling of this piece, that my heart races every time, and I keep asking myself, am I listening enough? What other voices can I be listening to more deeply? And what voices can I better amplify? I want to know, am I sharing my voice in a way that others can hear it? And what or should we do with what? So as we consider not only the pandemic, but the vital movement we're in the midst of to create a more just and society everywhere, where everyone knows that they're seen, their voices are heard, and that they know that they matter, let's tap into this generous listening as a catalytic mechanism for positive change. So the best way to make that a beginning for all of us, to allow us all to take in everything from this salon conversation. We are going to welcome one of our favorite guides for deep listening and bringing quiet and calm into our life. We're going to welcome Jeff Zlotnik from the Mission Initiative to provide you the gift of listening to your own wisdom, to your own personal calm and quiet. So I'm super excited to introduce you to Jeff Zlotnik, founder of the Meditation Initiative. And for the past 10 years, Jeff has been sharing his wisdom and donating free education and resources to those who need it most: health workers, our youth, folks in prison, folks that are part of our military, and so many more. So welcome, Jeff, to guide us through a little thoughtful practice as we go back our days.
Thank you, Sonia. Always a pleasure to be with you in the Experience Lab, and thank you to Yoko and Tammy. Your work is incredible, and it's a beautiful opportunity to hear the sounds around us that can be beautiful and heartfelt. And as Sonia said, always very important to listen to that inner beauty that lies in our hearts and our minds, and to just stop for a moment and to let everything we've just experienced really settle in before we rush back to our days. So I'm going to take a few moments and lead us through a very brief meditation practice. For those who are maybe doing this for the first time, there's a couple things I'll tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to float away. You're not going to have any mystical, magical experiences. You will not figure anything out. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Most important, don't judge this. We're just going to sit and breathe. You'll hear sounds wherever you're at now. If you're at a hospital, if you're at home, wherever you are, life is filled with sounds. And the practice of learning to be quiet and still is to be with the sounds around us and listen to our own hearts and our own breath. So finding a position that is comfortable, however you're seated, or standing is okay as well. Closing the eyes if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. I will guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. And we'll start with taking 3 deep breaths slowly. And eventually, we'll settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Knowing you'll hear sounds, these are not distractions, not disruptions, simply what's happening around us as we sit. We'll start with gently guiding your attention and focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, you'll feel them rise. Breathing out, you'll feel them fall. Simply continuing this practice, observing sensation of breath. And as the mind wanders, gets distracted, recognize it. Releasing that thought, gently guiding attention and focus back to the breath. Knowing what it's like to simply sit and breathe. Nothing else to do in this moment. Nowhere else to go. And no one else to be. Everything beautiful, just as it is. Sitting, breathing. And once again, taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And when ready, we'll slowly open the eyes. Slowly beginning to move. And simply paying attention to how you feel now. Comparing this to how you typically feel. And know that whatever calm, stillness, beauty you feel at this moment, this came from you. It's the same you that you are with all day long, working so hard and so passionately to bring a sense of calm and peace to those around you. So thank you for being here and sitting with us. And don't be afraid to repeat what we just did during these times of stress and chaos. Allow yourselves to take care of you as you are working so diligently to take care of everyone else. So thank you to everyone on this call and all the beautiful work you are doing. And again, an honor to be with you all. So thank you, Sonia, and everybody for having me here.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for guiding us through this important process and reminding us that we can and should be generous in listening to ourselves as well, knowing that we have this infinite capacity to create quiet and calm and listen is really a gift for us today and always. To all of you, I don't know about you, I'm filled with emotion, with hopeful optimism, and with gratitude. I know you'll join me in extending our collective gratitude to the team that made today possible, to Yoko Sen and Sen Sound for this truly provocative work of art, to Jeff Zlotnik and the Meditation Initiative for his calming guidance, and a very, very, very special thank you to Tammy Beaulieu and the Philips Clinical Professional Services team for your part of this work of art, as well as creating such a gracious forum for our convening today. We also extend our gratitude to those courageous voices of healthcare heroes we heard today and those everywhere bravely leading the way. And finally, from all of us here at the Experience Lab. To all of you, thank you for your presence, for your curiosity. May we all continue to listen deeply and generously together. We're cheering you all on now and always, and thank you so much for the work you do to heal healthcare and humanity. Have a wonderful, quiet, calm rest of your day. Thank you.